Welcome to pattern making class. This is Annette Julie, and we are working on our back blouson with added fullness. And in the last video, we did the spreading, and we've brought this down 3 inches to make a nice continuous hem. And now we need to add on some seam allowance and trim the pattern down a little bit. Add some seam allowance and the seam allowance notches. Here at the side seam, we would do 1/2 inch. And I chose to add 1 inch for my hem. And this is matching my front pattern. And you want to make short little lines when you're doing a curve, and then come back and blend all those lines together with a curve ruler. That part there at the center front and center back are straight right here, and then it's curving up. Now when we come up here to the shoulder, let me just make sure this line is perfectly straight, since we had slashed and closed that dart. Yep, that looks great. Let me go up 1/2 inch for seam allowance on the shoulder. I'm going to square that right there at the neckline, and our seam allowance for the neckline is 1/4. And this neckline, we have not changed it. It is from our block copy, and in the future video you can learn how to change the neckline, make it a scoop or a square neck, a V-neck, or adding a collar or a placket or a facing. Lots more things for your pattern. Right now we've got that 1/4 inch there in the neckline where we're going to do the armhole. That is also 1/2 inch. Any major joining seam for woven fabric is 1/2 inch for the industry. I'm going to take my scissors and trim a little of this paper right now. Save that for another project. And then continue with my 1/2 inch seam allowance. And that would be for setting in a sleeve. But if I had a facing, in the armhole, that would be great for a sleeveless, is a 1/4 inch seam allowance with the facing. But we're doing 1/2 inch, which you would set a sleeve in. Let's make sure to bring our notches out into the seam allowance, trying to make them perpendicular with the seam. Let's grab our curve ruler and connect some of our curve lines for seam allowance. Notice the direction that I am using the curve ruler. Then we'll flip it here at the bottom. And most of your pattern making is done best in pencil, so you can erase anything. I am pattern making in ink, so people can see my pattern. And a mistake if I make one too. There we go. Let's go ahead and do the neckline. We're smoothing that out. And this part right here is straight for 1/4 inch. And the rest is curving. And then down here at our hem, we need to go ahead and connect this there's that hem. And then with the back, we can decide what to do, a placket or what have you. You can go ahead and add 1, 2, 3 inches, depending on what your design is. Right now, I'm just going to add 2 inches. To the center back until I decide what we're doing for the next design. Now we're getting real close to cutting this out. And now we know here that this is added fullness right through here. That is not a dart. And over here, added fullness. And this is the front, which we have butterflied the pattern. And the side seams would line up like so. You can see that we have some nice balanced flare over here to the side. Very happy about that. And then usually before you cut a pattern, it's nice to line up the front and the back and make sure that they're exactly the same. And if there needs to be any modifications, you can go ahead and add or take away down there at the hem. The shoulder should both be 5 inches. Let's make sure that's looking good. And let's go ahead and fold our center back piece underneath. This will not be a piece on the fold, but this will have a placket or a zipper. We'll have some kind of opening here in the center back in the future for our design. We can go ahead and start cutting out our hem. And right over here at the side, my other piece was a little bit longer from the front, so I might just go ahead and blend in a little bit. It's that much longer. Go ahead and add a little bit so it's the same length. There we go. We'll cut that line. One very easy way to fix something real quick. You can just add it. Later on you can split the difference. You can go back and measure it and see which length you would like. Now we're going to go ahead and cut out our side seam. And this is for a woven pattern, and because we have 1/2 inch in our armhole, which I'm cutting now, that means we would set in a sleeve. If we were doing sleeveless, we would only have 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we would probably use a facing. Our armhole's cut out now. Cutting out our shoulder. And our back neck. And then our center back, we added a couple inches so that we can make a placket or add a zipper or do something with with this little bit later. Maybe just a facing, we haven't decided, so just left a little bit for the back. Whenever you do that, you definitely need to make sure that you know where the center back is. Because right now, this is an extension. Now we can go ahead, I would put a notch here at the center back, going up. And we would also have a notch over here at the side seam. But I'm going to bring a little bit of that hem angle in 1/8 of an inch because it's very full. I'm going to bring that in. Then my hemline, the seam allowance, that also comes in a little bit. So here I would notch going up. And here in the armhole, I'm going to notch going in. Here's those armhole notches, and you can use your notching tool or your scissor, and you would cut out a little bit on the paper pattern. And then when you're cutting fabric, you cut in just like 1/8 of an inch to mark everything. Here in the shoulder, we are notching in. And for the 1/4 inch neckline, we do not need to have a notch because they know what that is, or stitchers. And this is no longer any notches there for the shoulder dart because there is no shoulder dart. And then this is our back bodice for Blouson added fullness. And we have our front. Now a little bit more information with our patterns. With our front being one big pattern piece, you would cut this open. So you could write cut open. And you could also write cut one self open, and cut one, the self means that this fabric is all matching. It'll be matching to the bodice and it would be matching to the sleeve. The other option would be cut one self contrast, but this garment would be all matching at this point. And then the back, since we have an opening here, this would be cut to self, and that would be fabric, right? So as far as the fabric goes, you could even write what the fabric is in parentheses. You could write down that it's like a Pima cotton, or whatever else you've decided to use, a chambray. And that is the end of today's video. And this was a real fun design. Feel free to turn this into a blouse or a dress. And this is Annette Julie, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.